Hey guys, how's it going? This is Jared Lautenschlager. So I decided to make a new channel, basically to keep my normal videos, the video games and things like that, sort of separate from politics and religion and other topics like that. So I thought I'd kick things off with a response to a man calling himself Amazing Lucas. Now, Lucas here is going to explain why pedophilia, the relationship between an adult and a child, will most definitely happen in the U.S. and will become normalized. Weird, right? So let's see what he has to say.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with pedophilia. Oh my goodness. Now, if some of you felt some discomfort with the statement I said earlier, well, then you're a hateful bigot. Why, you ask? Well, precisely for the fact that there's nothing they can do about it. They're absolutely born that way. And for the other side, when it comes to a child, well, if a child young as 12 can choose what gender they want to be and actually apply for gender reassignment surgery, then who are you to put a restraint on the beautiful thing as love? Who are you to dictate who that person should and shouldn't be able to love?
Okay, right off the bat, we have a sort of false statement. So children under 18 cannot receive gender reassignment surgery. Doctors won't do it. They won't do it for a 16-year-old, and they absolutely won't do it for a 12-year-old. I don't even know where you're getting that information. And in case you don't believe me, here is a site that explains this. Quote, "The question is no longer whether gender reassignment is an option, but rather how young should it begin? While no law prohibits minors from receiving sex change hormones or even surgery, insurers have generally refused to extend coverage for these procedures to those under 18. And while the article in question, which is linked below, does go on to say that there are advocates that are pushing for younger kids to start the gender reassignment, they simply won't be able to find a doctor or insurer willing to go along with it. And even then, they put the kids through therapy and counseling to make sure this is what they really want. Moreover, most trans people that I have seen don't do the full-blown surgery anyway, as there are many health risks involved. Now let's talk about the difference between the kid going through a sex or gender transition to putting an age limit on love, as you say. Here's another article, this time from virginia.edu. Again, link is in the description. The title is, "Why Are Minors Unable to Consent?" So it says, consent is a legal term. In most states in the United States, an individual cannot consent for him or herself until she is 18. For international studies, some cultures may accept that an individual may consent for him or herself at an earlier age or may require parental consent past 18 years. Thus, the age in which one can consent to participate in a study is determined by the legal and cultural definition for consent in the jurisdiction of the study. In some situations, there may be exceptions. For example, a minor who is married may be emancipated from parental consent. A minor who is a parent may be able to consent for his or her child, but cannot consent for him or herself. If a child does not have a parent or legally authorized representative and is a ward of the state, a state-appointed representative can consent for the child. Consent also requires an adult level of understanding. Often children, particularly young children, are unable to understand the full scope of the decision put before them. It is important that a parent or a legal authorized representative be the primary person to give consent in order to act in the child's best interests. However, don't underestimate a child's ability to understand and their capacity to make a decision to participate. Obtaining permission from the child through an assent form or similar process is an important part of the parent-child consent process. So, to sum all that up, basically what it is saying is that in some certain cases, a child can consent, but they said that it requires an adult level of understanding. And what that means is that if it is a specific topic for which the child has to consent to, then they don't really fully understand what it is they are consenting to and thus are unable to do that by law. And this is on the books that children under the age of 18 can't consent by themselves. And this would apply to something like a marriage between an adult and a child. Now, let's see if there's anything else worth peeking through.
Oh my goodness. That, my friends, is not that far from happening. For example, if you take a look at homosexuality and the process it's gone through to normalize that behavior, in a sense, it's the same process that's going to be taking place for everything else.
Sounds like a slippery slope fallacy. Slippery slope argument is a consequentialist logical device in which a party asserts that a relatively small first step leads to a chain of related events culminating in some significant, usually negative effect. The core of the slippery slope argument is that a specific decision under debate is likely to result in unintended consequences. The strength of such an argument depends on the warrant, i.e., whether or not one can demonstrate a process that leads to the significant effect. This type of argument is sometimes used as a form of fear-mongering, in which the probable consequences of a given action are exaggerated in an attempt to scare the audience. The fallacious sense of slippery slope is often used synonymously with continuum fallacy, in that it ignores the possibility of middle ground and assumes a discrete transition from category A to category B. In a non-fallacious sense, including use as a legal principle, a middle ground possibility is acknowledged and reasoning is provided for the likelihood of the predicated outcome.
It's led to, this normalization of genders, where now we currently have over 500 and something different genders.
Wrong. It was more like 50, I think. But, I mean, most of these are redundant anyway, and they are only really recognized online, and I would not say they are recognized in any meaningful discord. At least not to me, anyway.
The LGBT, how they've basically indoctrinated our children into the textbooks, into how they did it on TV to normalize that lifestyle. Hey, these people aren't weird or anything. These are really nice people. And the same methodology that was applied to that, I guarantee it's going to be applied to pedophilia. Probably not under a Trump administration, but you best believe they are now planting seeds.
See? Slippery slope fallacy. And by the way, homosexuality is normal. We see it all the time in nature. Here's a short film that you might find interesting.
We can honestly see this in Hollywood itself. There's been several actors who've come out, who've spoken out against this, pedophilia within Hollywood. We can clearly see that with, Meryl Streep and everyone applauding a convicted pedophile.
So a few people were molested as kids in Hollywood means that Hollywood thinks it's okay and will therefore become normal in society?
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
And those people in the audience clapping for a convicted pedophile, I'm sure did not know that he had done the things he is now convicted for. But funny that you didn't mention Roy Moore or the many Catholic priests that have literally done this for many, many decades, if not centuries. Why do they get a free pass?
Now, for some of you guys out there, I'm sure this is quite the pill to swallow, but, you just want to have your eyes open about this, because I guarantee that's what's going to happen, and that's going to be the same argument that you're going to be facing. And people are, in fact, just born with a natural inclination to be attracted to those of a younger age. Well, who are you to say that's wrong? Who are you to do anything about that? And then that brings into case, well, if they're born that way, well, then why is the age restriction 18? Why is it 18 an adult when in some places it's actually younger than that? So you're going to have that fight for age restriction, you have that fight for normalizing pedophilia, and that's what's going to happen. So this is just a word of advice to prepare you guys what I definitely foresee happening in the future. Oh my goodness. And that's exactly what many people on, Republicans and those on the conservative side were warning against. That this would eventually lead to the floodgates opening of very controversial subjects being allotted and being legalized.
Again, Catholic priests have been molesting altar boys for a long time now. Where have Republicans been on that front? Haven't heard much from them, have we?
And that, my friends, is where we're going to see the breakdown of what we know today as marriage. Because why does it have to be till death do us part? Why can't it be a contractual arrangement? Why can't I marry this person for 1 to 2 years, see if I like it? If I don't, it's done. It's null and void. I go on with my rest of my life, or I get in another contract with someone else. Why there's...
You can do that. It's called filing for a divorce.
Why are we going to have to wear a ring? What does that really symbolize? There's going to be many other things that are going to be brought up and questioned. Well, why is this? Why is that? Why that? And you know what? That's where it's going to lead to. Why does it have to be one person? Why does it have to be complementary sex? And so, well, now it doesn't. I can marry anyone I choose to. Well, now, why does it only have to be 2 people? Why can't I marry if I'm truly in love with 3 people, and those 3 people, those other 2 people are truly in love with me? Why are you denying us that right?
As far as I am aware, polygamy isn't necessarily wrong. If all parties are adults and they are consenting to this relationship, I'm not sure I could say it's wrong. Besides, polygamy is condoned in the Bible. So I'd love to hear your argument as to why this is necessarily bad. And Lamech took unto him 2 wives, Genesis 4:19. He, Jacob, took his 2 wives and his 2 woman servants, Genesis 32:22. And Gideon had 70 sons of his body begotten, for he had many wives, Judges 8:30. Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines, 1 Kings 11:2-3. Rehoboam took 18 wives and 70 concubines. 2 Chronicles 11:21. Okay, you get the idea. Let's go on.
Why are you denying us that ability to love each other equally? Do you not love all of your children equally? So why can't we apply that to my couple, to my relationship with these 3 people, or these 2 people? Oh my goodness. I'm telling you guys, think I'm crazy. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen. And the only thing is, and the craziness about that is, if you rationalize this, if you validate it off the pure and utter basis of love, well then, how do you restrict love?
But no one is making that argument. Not one person has said it is solely on love. You need all parties involved to consent, and they also need to be adults.
Long story short, you can't. Now, the reason many of this hasn't happened yet is that there's not enough people behind the cause. Now, once we get enough people, once they amass enough people, enough talking heads around this cause, well, it'll sure be passed, as everything else has been passed. You know, polygamy, that's going to be passed, because there's nothing to stop it. There's absolutely, literally nothing to stop it. And if you can validate, like I said, off the notion of love, well, then who's to say that, you know, a mom and a son can't marry, or a daughter and brother can't marry, as long as they don't have children. And I mean, nowadays, contraceptives, who are you to limit their love?
Is there anything wrong with gay marriage?
No.
There's nothing weird about that, do you think?
No, let people love.
As long as they're consenting adults?
Yeah, of course.
That's fine, right?
Yeah.
So do you have any problem? Would you think it would be weird if one of your friends was having sex with their sister?
How does that relate?
Well, they're two consenting adults, so we're just using liberal logic if you think that it's totally normal to have homosexual relationships.
I hate the idea, but if both are happy with it and they don't have any kids, then like, sure, I don't see a huge problem with it.
And there's people out there who completely agree with this, because you have to. Because if you don't, well, then we have conflicting messages. First, you say it's okay for love, but not love between these two people?
Really? You used a Mark Dice video to make a point? Fuck, dude, why? And I love how Mark thinks he had the guy in a gotcha moment. But listen to the response that the guy gave. It was very cogent and rational. I'm not really sure why you use that, in fact, as it kind of makes my point and not yours. Listen to it again.
To have homosexual relationships.
I hate the idea, but if both are happy with it and they don't have any kids, then like, sure, I don't see a huge problem with it.
Did you catch that? I'll read it off for you. Quote, I hate the idea, but if both are happy with it and don't have any kids, then sure, I don't see a huge problem with it. How was that bad? How was that a gotcha moment? He didn't get him anywhere. Also, they said consenting adults. I don't know if you caught that, but yeah, that's what I've been saying this entire time. Consenting adults is the key. That's why pedophilia will never become normalized.
To consenting adults? So that's the beautiful thing, and that's the harmful thing of this ideology, is that once you agree to it, you have to go 100%. You have to be consistent with that belief.
Whoa, wait. Didn't you just say consenting adults? I thought this was about pedophilia.
And you know what? That's going to lead to some very interesting and controversial subject matters coming up this next decade, I would say. Not while Trump's in office, but...
Well, yeah, because he won't be around for a second term.
Once Trump gets out of office, we're in for a load of surprises. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not you feel that pedophilia is going to be legalized, whether if it's even right. Or if you think, you know what, this is absolutely crazy where we're headed. We got to keep your eyes, ears, and mouths open and fight against this nonsense.
So basically, this entire video boils down to a slippery slope fallacy. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this inaugural video on this new channel. Sorry I wasn't on camera, but I'm trying to work out some stuff on if I want to be on camera, where I would actually shoot the videos at and all that other stuff, and how I would actually go about doing it, because I don't want to do the same thing as my other channel. But you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Be sure to check out my other YouTube channel, Super Gaming Republic. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.